were packed to greet their hometown hero.
When Oscar first got back, it was amazing.
The whole time, the whole week, I mean, it was just a big party, big parade.
But before he could enjoy the celebration, Oscar had somewhere he needed to go.
I remember going to the grave, laying down the gold medal. You know, Mom, here it is. Spending hours and hours there with her. I fulfilled her dream. That's all she wanted. That's it, it's over. But then I said to myself, well, let me fulfill one of my personal goals.
With Olympic gold on his resume, Oscar was ready to fight professionally. With his father looking over his shoulder, Oscar signed with the management team of Robert Middleman and Steve Nelson, who offered the De La Hoyas a $1 million signing bonus.
I knew it would come down to dollars and cents with Joe.
The most influential person, as far as Oscar is concerned, is Joel Sr.
His new managers presented Oscar and Joel with a plan, a grueling schedule of fights leading up to a title fight within a year. Oscar was happy to oblige.
Usually I would give him a 5-minute description of the guy. He trusted me.
He wanted to get to the top as soon as possible.
He fought 10 opponents in 11 months, and he beat them all.
It was hectic. It was work, and he accomplished it.
But a punch thrown by Narcisco Valenzuela almost derailed the plan.
When I first got knocked down, I thought it was over for me. I thought my whole career was over.
He hadn't been knocked down in 8 years.
There was no way he was going to stay down that way. He sprung up, right away and came back and finished him off in the same round.
Valenzuela is through! Back on track, Oscar faced Danish fighter Jimmy Bredahl for his first title and defeated him in 10 rounds. No. 4 months later, he knocked out Jorge Paez for his second title belt.
He's not a very patient person. When he wants things, he wants them now.
Outside the ring, I can be this nice guy, very easygoing, but get me inside that ring, and I turn into this animal.
With 2 championship belts, Oscar's future looked extremely bright. He signed a 5-fight, $7.5 million deal with HBO. He was boxing's newest superstar.
People call me the Golden Boy. They say that everything I touch turns to gold.
Oscar has appeal because of the way he looks, the way he speaks, and the way he fights.
But boxing fans weren't the only people noticing Oscar De La Hoya.
He's attracted more women fans than any other fighter in history.
You have all these women just going crazy.
And the poor kid from East LA had another problem to handle. Money.
It was as if I could do anything I want now because I had money.
They went through it as fast as they got it. And Oscar, just bought a lot of clothes, and cars were Oscar's thing. Always cars.
But fame and fortune were only a prelude to the biggest fight of his life.
When I saw him across that ring and he was just covered with blood, I was like, my gosh, I did this to you?
Chavez's bloody mask, simply too grotesque.
In 1995, Oscar De La Hoya was living a dream. He was rich, popular, and wore 2 professional title belts.
It's been a crazy ride. Whatever he sets his mind to, he can do.
The Golden Boy's success was also turning into a curse.
I just didn't know who was there. When I started winning fights, when I started getting money, who was there to love me, I was confused.
But while the money rolled in, it disappeared just as quickly.
I just started spending it like crazy. And after about 8 months, I realized I only had like several $1,000s in the bank.
Oscar decided it was time for a change. He replaced his father as his business advisor and fired his managers.
I opened my eyes and I just thought that they weren't doing the right thing for me. I wanted to be in control. I am in control now.
Oscar put his career in the more seasoned hands of Bob Arum and immediately saw his opponents and purses improve. His first fight with his new team was against Rafael Ruelas, another East Los Angeles product.
The breakthrough fight for Oscar was the Ruelas fight.
Well, I captured the whole Latino audience.
The fight was stopped in the second round.
Oscar De La Hoya has stopped all the trash talking.
Oscar now owned 3 title belts and an 18-0 professional record. But his biggest fight was still ahead of him, Julio Cesar Chavez.
His fight against Chavez was his true coming out fight.
Chavez was a revered hero in his native Mexico. For Oscar, the American son of Mexican immigrants, Chavez stood on a pedestal.
He was the icon that all Hispanic fighters looked up to.
In 100-degree Las Vegas heat, the Golden Boy stepped into the ring for the biggest fight of his life.
Oscar De La Hoya, the night that he fought Julio Cesar Chavez, was a great fight machine.
In that fight, the best came out of me.
Only 90 seconds into the fight, Oscar opened a cut over Chavez's left eye and went after it savagely.
When I saw that blood, I just wanted to see more. It just felt good to see him bleed.
It's an extremely competitive side of Oscar and a very vicious side of Oscar when he's in the ring.
By the 4th round, the cut was so bad that the referee called the fight.
It was satisfying, and it was kind of sad at the same time, because here you have Julio Cesar Chavez, my idol growing up in boxing. And when I beat him, when I saw him across that ring and he was just covered with blood, I just felt really bad for him. I was like, my gosh, I did this to you?
The Golden Boy was crowned the new king of the non-heavyweight circuit, and his appeal to women turned into outright obsession.
When I beat Chavez, I started getting a following, a big following, a woman following.
I remember once they had like 4,000 girls, young girls at 14, 15 years old with signs, marry me, Oscar.
I saw press conferences where we couldn't get out to get to the car because all these women were around throwing panties at him.
Now a bona fide superstar, Oscar readied for his first major title defense against Pernell Whitaker.
Whitaker, he's got a really, really funky style.
Pernell Whitaker, being such a skillful fighter, made it very difficult for Oscar.
Whitaker surprised the De La Hoya corner by revealing an unorthodox fighting style.
It was a very, very tricky fight. He got inside my mind.
The last 3 rounds, Oscar De La Hoya was throwing punches, and he won those rounds. I felt where Pernell Whitaker actually quit fighting.
Oscar won by decision, but the outcome didn't satisfy many fight fans.
Oscar was knocking everybody out, and when he beat Whitaker by decision, they were disappointed because they felt that to be considered a great champion, you have to knock out the champion.
Just 2 months after defeating Whitaker, on June 22nd, 1997, Oscar drove home from a Hollywood Awards banquet.
It was probably around 12 o'clock at night. I'm driving on the fast lane, and all of a sudden, the car starts slowing down for no reason. The steering wheel locked on me. So I get out of the car, runs across the freeway to use the phone, and I guess a couple seconds later, I can just